All right, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Football Live with the Fantasy Sports Boss. It's Wednesday, day before Fantasy Football Week 15, also known as the first week of the Fantasy Football Playoffs for the majority of leagues, gets underway tomorrow with the San Francisco 49ers in action against the Seattle Seahawks. And, really, this is going to be a really interesting week because, there's a lot of big names that are on the injury report. There's a lot of, weather factors that are going to be an issue this week as well. And, these are all things that are going to complicate matters in terms of the first round of the fantasy playoffs. So I'm going to go through the injury report. Certainly chock full of names as always. Going to take a closer look at that Buffalo Bills Miami game. So Saturday night is the Bills Dolphins in Buffalo. The weather doesn't look good for that game. And again, this is what you sign up for when you draft Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. You always have to have in the back of your mind when you make that draft choice in the sweltering heat of August, you always have to think ahead that maybe there's a possibility that when December rolls around and I own Josh Allen and I own Stephon Diggs and I own Gabe Davis, that the weather's going to turn to crap. There's going to be wind, there's going to be snow, and that's going to come in the stretch run of the fantasy football season and into the playoffs and possibly the fantasy football championship. And that's what we're looking now in terms of Saturday night's game, which will be great to watch aesthetically, sitting around week before the holiday on a Saturday night. But if you own stock in Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, not as much. Now, before I go any further, of course, hit the subscribe notification button and also hit the like button if you can. That helps with the indexing of the channel. And then, of course, post your questions as well. Rise Above Anything's the first one up. What's up, bro? Should I worry about Jalen Waddle? I added Elijah Moore. I wouldn't worry about him. I guess in turn you could worry about Tua Tagovailoa a little bit, and this is not a good matchup. Certainly the weather is going to play a factor. Elijah Moore becomes more interesting this week because they're playing the Lions, and Corey Davis is probably going to be out, and he had a decent game last week. So it's not the worst idea to think about maybe replacing Jalen Waddle with Elijah Moore. But I wouldn't make that move just yet. I think we should take a look at the weather report a little bit closer before we make that judgment there. So so let's get to the injury report. So the other thing is I had posted last night a video about Jeff Driscoll, and I didn't even know that he had gotten tight end eligibility in Yahoo leagues. Now, from what I gather, he doesn't have eligibility at tight end in ESPN and the online app. What's that? I don't remember the name of that app that everybody's using now, but it really might be just Yahoo that Driscoll has tight end eligibility, but he scored 11 points last week. He's running the ball. He ran the ball quite often last week. He played only one less snap than Davis Mills. He threw for a touchdown. He's going to be used in the passing game. So just like with Taysom Hill, Jeff Driscoll is interesting if you need somebody to hold the fort for the first round of the fantasy playoffs. If you're still waiting on Dallas Goedert to come back, although he may come back this week, that's another thing we got to keep an eye on. Driscoll certainly is another one of those guys that can be a game breaker with quarterback eligibility and tight end eligibility that you just hardly ever see. And that's like a new thing this season with Taysom Hill and Jeff Driscoll. Yes, hit the like buttons more. Thank you very much. I also added Okonkwo to have Mark Andrews. Yes, so Mark Andrews, I've already done a video, I should say, on him the other day, and I'm not liking what's going on there. Did nothing last week. Tyler Huntley's still in concussion protocol. I'm really not liking this offense at all. And Okonkwo, on the other hand, with Treylon Burks still in concussion protocol, no guarantee, because that was a really bad hit. That was a bad concussion that Burks suffered. So there's no guarantee he's going to be cleared in time. And Okonkwo scored 18 fantasy points, had a touchdown, had a converted 2-point conversion. He's going to be heavily used again. It's not listen, we're in the playoffs now. Tough choices got to be made. Balls to the wall, throw it all out there. Sometimes you just got to make the hard choice and go with it. Okonkwo over Mark Andrews on the surface seems like a tough choice. Based on production of late and opportunity, not so much. So these are the decisions that we're all going to have to wrestle with now, over the next couple of weeks. All right, let's see. I'm terrified of Mark. Yeah, I'm terrified. I would be terrified of Mark Andrews as well. And who would have thought, after the big September that he had, How do you feel about Jacobs and Mixon playoff teams they face? I know the Bengals have a very tough playoff schedule. I didn't like Joe Burrow's playoff schedule. I love Justin Herbert's playoff schedule. And if Lamar Jackson can get back for next week, he's got the Atlanta Falcons. But didn't like Tua's, didn't like Burrow's. So I am concerned a little bit about Mixon. Listen, let's face it with Joe Mixon. You take out that 5-touchdown game, the rest of his season has been underwhelming. He's averaging less than 4 per carry, when you take out that one game. He's been underwhelming in the passing game of late, especially. And, he's 27, so he's getting up there in age. He's getting close to the danger zone now for running backs, and I haven't been totally impressed with him. As far as Josh Jacobs, he's very beat up. I've said this many times. I think that the Raiders have no intention of bringing him back next season, so they are absolutely running him into the ground, sucking whatever they can out of the guy, which is kind of messed up if you think about it, but it is their right. And it is helping Jacobs compile numbers so he can cash in as a free agent, although running backs don't get paid the way they used to. 3 full PPR, Tyler Lockett, Aaron Jones, Pollard, and Josh Jacobs. The last 3, Jones, Pollard, and Jacobs. Team defense they play in week 16. Team defense they play in week 16, 17. Yeah, I don't know who they're playing as far as the team defense. Burks didn't practice. Yeah, he didn't practice. He's not cleared yet. Can you elaborate on the St. Brown post to Sauce going in the slot? All right, Carlos. So the Jets don't habitually move their corners around. So, take the Buffalo game. Stephon Diggs, who really didn't do much of anything, 50% of the time he was with Sauce Gardner. The other half was DJ Reed. That's what's going to happen against Detroit as well. But again, DJ Reed is having a Pro Bowl season. Both of these guys very well might make the Pro Bowl this season. That's how dominant they've been. Gardner's been almost impossible to complete a pass on. DJ Reed, getting all that attention on the other side, has graded out as a top 5, top 6 guy according to Pro Football Focus as well. So I'm not high on Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm certainly not high on Jared Goff. 2 touchdown passes all season on the road, 7 interceptions. That is a clear trend. If you look at Goff's history, he does not play well in cold weather. It's going to be windy, possible rain for that game on Sunday. So, and a shutdown Jets defense as well. They might be without Keenan Williams, but that's a really good defense. I am not optimistic about the production of that Lions offense. And also you have Jameson Williams and DJ Chark, and Chark had a good game last week. So there's no guarantee that Amon-Ra St. Brown will even be the leading receiver in that game for the Lions. Thanks for everything. Hey, Plumsky, how you doing? 2 leagues. I got the bye. I have the bye in one of my leagues, and it's nice, isn't it? I have Freiermuth in both. I picked up Goddard in one and Waller in the other. They worth putting. Yes, absolutely. Both guys, especially Goddard. I play Goddard over Freiermuth in a second. It looks like Goddard has a chance to be cleared. That's one of the big news stories of the day, is that Goddard's practicing. He's in the window now to return from IR. So that would be a huge boost, not only for him, but Jalen Hurts and that Eagles offense, as if they can't even get even more potent than they already are. Packers or Cards defense. Packers play the Rams. The Cardinals play Broncos. No, I'm not using the Cardinals defense under any circumstances. You saw that the Patriots, put up 27 points against them. Pathetic. Not using the Cardinals defense. Would you play Chargers or Jets D? Jets D. Every week you got to play the Jets D. Full PPR, Deshaun Watson, Bam, D-Hop, Juju, Kelsey, Chiefs defense, kicker, gold, at running back Jamal Williams or Foreman. I go Foreman. DPJ, Chark, and Goddard if good to go. I would definitely play DPJ and Goddard if I could, because I think Goddard is going to have a good game if he's good every week. You have Kelsey, though. That's the thing. So I don't think you really need – as far as the flex, if Goddard plays, I would put him in the flex over Foreman. Judy, Mike Evans, or Devontae Smith? Devontae Smith. Absolutely. Could you rank these 4 running backs for my Week 15 flex? Zonovan versus Detroit, Latavius versus not Latavius, Rashad or Fournette. So Zonovan, Rashad or Fournette, and then Latavius. So Charles Sino gave me a $5 super chat. Charles, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Certainly, like I say all the time, it means a lot. It's never expected, but certainly greatly appreciated, Charles. Thank you very much for that super chat. That was very nice of you to do that. My opponent's 5 are Derrick Henry, Jamal Williams, Michael Gallup, Brandon Ayuk. That's not a very good 5, Death Lord. Jones, Tyreek Hill, you have the much better team, definitely. Foreman or Rashad White for running back 2? That's a little bit more of a complicated question because both guys have backs nipping at the heels. Fournette for White and Chuba Hubbard, who was really good last week behind Foreman. I would go with White because he catches the football. That's why I would favor Rashad White. All right, let's go check out some of these injuries. So for the New England Patriots, we got to watch this closely. So no Ramondre Stevenson, no Devontae Parker, no Jacoby Myers. Like, it's a complete shitstorm right now in New England. A lot of guys are out. Jacoby Myers is almost a drop right now. Like, he's really getting close to that point. Ramondre Stevenson. So Pierre Strong, could be the hedge. I'm not picking up or using any New England Patriots backs in the playoffs. I'm not using any New England Patriot period in the fantasy playoffs. There's no reason to do. I mean, Damian Harris was limited today. If you're in a deeper league, yes, you could try Damian Harris because he'll probably get the most carries here, but he's not going to catch passes. We already know that going in. I think we could do a lot better than the New England Patriots. Any of the New England Patriots offensive players. Jeff Wilson's got that hip from Miami. He did not practice today, so this needs to be watched closely. Not good starting out the week with a missed practice for him. Raheem Mostert, who didn't play well last week, would be the hedge. I think Mostert is pretty tired himself, and of course, it's a rough matchup against the Buffalo Bills, so that's something that we're going to have to pay attention to as well. So Tyreek Hill, no issues there. He was a full participant for Miami's. Again, I got to give this to Tyreek Hill. The guy gets beat up every week. He's not the biggest guy, but he always shows up, or he goes back in the game. For a small guy, he's pretty freaking tough. If I get Harris, still go Rashad White. Yes, Harris doesn't catch the football. For the Broncos, Russell Wilson's not looking like he's going to play. He's in a concussion protocol. He says he feels fine, but that was a scary hit. I mean, we all saw that on television, how dazed he looked. Cortland Sutton didn't practice again either. Neither did Kendall Hinton. So if it's Brett Rippon, you're not playing anybody on this Broncos offense. Mike Boone doesn't look like he's going to play again this season. Latavius Murray is completely washed. So no go for anybody here on the Denver Broncos. Is Tyreek Hill worth benching if the weather's really bad? No. Because what they can do with Tyreek Hill is they throw short passes and make them create, which they've really been doing all season to very good positive results. So no, you never bench Tyreek Hill, even if it's snowing. All right, so Mark Ingram on injury reserve. So Alvin Kamara, there's one less person for him to have to deal with, but Kamara's been so bad. He's got the right matchup. So, you're playing Alvin Kamara, you're going to play him anyway, but now he's got the Atlanta Falcons this week. I actually picked up Andy Dalton in the league that I'm playing this week. I have a bye in the other, but I picked up Andy Dalton because, Justin Fields missed practice today. He's sick. I also own Lamar Jackson, who missed practice. I don't think he's playing this week. So, I need to protect myself this time around, unlike last week, where it did work out when I picked up Russell Wilson, but it was scary going into a win and get in game with Wilson as my quarterback. And, Dalton hasn't played that badly, and he's got the Atlanta Falcons this week. And how about that situation with Marcus Mariota? There was a lot of back and forth about whether he was quitting on the team. He was placed on season-ending IR due to injury. A lot of misreporting about that he was unhappy and that he was, quitting on them and whatnot. I know he just had a birth in his family. His daughter was born. So I think that was unfair to Mariota to put it out there like that he was really just quitting and being a prima donna, for lack of a better term, because Desmond Ridder is getting the start this week. So, I thought that was kind of a low blow to him. Ravens defense or Packers defense? Rise. Who are they playing again? I don't remember I don't have the schedule in front of me. Packers or Cardinals defense? I'm not playing the Cardinals defense under any circumstances. I don't care who they're playing. All right. So no Dameon Pierce. We know Dameon Pierce is not going to play this week. So it sets up another scenario where Rex Burkhead, if you remember last season, he had one, I think it came in the fantasy football championship. So I'm not sure many people even used him, but Burkhead went ballistic in one game down the stretch last season. I believe it was in week 17. And now he's got an opportunity. I know Ogunleye is also there. Maybe they'll split carries, but no Dameon Pierce this week. So, that's a bummer if you own Dameon Pierce. He hasn't really been that great the last month. He's really a victim of the ineptitude of his team more than anything. But Rex Burkhead in a deep league, he's going to get check down passes. He's a good receiver. So in a PPR league, it's not the worst decision in the world to use him there. Kenneth Walker or Chris Olave, Baltimore, please. Listen, I hate that matchup for Kenneth Walker. And he's not 100%. There's a risk for re-injury. I go Olave against Atlanta 100%. Baltimore plays Cleveland and the Packers play. Packers easily. I'm definitely playing the Packers. All right, Justin Tucker or Daniel Carlson. I think you got to play Daniel Carlson. Tyler Huntley is still not clear from concussion protocol, so I'm not totally in on him as well. Would you play Driscoll? I would. I would play Driscoll. Lovie Smith had him play about half the snaps last week. He threw a touchdown. He ran it like 5 or 6 times. I would play him if you have, a Pat Freiermuth, like a mediocre guy, Robert Tonyan. I definitely would play Driscoll over him. And not saying Freiermuth is mediocre. He's had a good season, but that offense is really struggling as well. Kadarius Toney limited. We don't care. No issue there because nobody's going to use him. Julio Jones did not practice with a knee injury. The guy's completely washed anyway. Is it worth leaving? Yeah, you shouldn't be in a league that doesn't have trading. That's ridiculous. So Pat Mahomes was limited today with a right hand. He was a full participant. He has a right hand injury. No big deal. He's taking on the Texans. So same concern I had last week about the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys wound up playing down to the level of competition, is that the Chiefs could blow out Houston so quickly that Pat Mahomes may not have that ceiling game that he would in a more competitive environment. Joe Burrow has a right elbow issue, but he was a full participant. So he had a sleeve on his right arm when he left and he went to the trainer's room. It doesn't look like it's anything there. Burrow's a fighter. He's never going to not be out there. So unless it's a devastating injury. So he's going to be ready to go. Denver defense versus Arizona or Green Bay versus Rams. Green Bay. I would say Green Bay. Colt McCoy's got some ability. But Green Bay, honestly, Trey, you really can't go wrong with either one of them, honestly. But I would say Green Bay. Tyler Huntley, full participant in practice, but he's still not clear from protocol. But I think it's looking like he will be. Huntley was pretty bad last week. I was really hoping that he was going to unleash Mark Andrews, but it just didn't happen. Rondale Moore put on there. Yeah, Rondale Moore is done. Cooper Kupp is done. Rondale Moore is done. A lot of guys now are finished for the season. Mark Ingram. So, I've said this many times. Winning a fantasy football league is half the battle is just having the most healthy roster. That's it. We're at the point in the season where guys are going to get shut down if the team's out of it. Like Cooper Kupp had a chance to come back if the Rams were competitive or in a playoff race. But, now that's not happening because of their position in the standings. Jacobs or Aaron Jones, better game. You got to say Jacobs just because he gets more work. James Conner, Carlo. So James Conner, I got to hand it to him. He's had over 20 fantasy points 3 of the last 4 weeks. This is a guy I've criticized heavily in the past. I got to be fair. He's been good. He's been very good. Seems to always do his best down the stretch of the season. So there's something to be said for that as well. I talked about Kenneth Walker. He's off the injury report. He's taking on the 49ers. God, the last 2 weeks, we saw them completely shut down New Orleans. They completely shut down Tom Brady. And on paper, a very talented Tampa Bay offense. I would be very, very hesitant to play Kenneth Walker this week. He's not 100%, even though he's cleared from the injury report. There's a chance for re-injury, and that matchup is downright brutal. All right, absolutely brutal. The Saints, speaking of the Saints, they claimed Dino Benjamin. So Benjamin is making, having a nice tour around the NFL. They don't care about Brandon Jacobs, Josh Jacobs. They're just going to run him into the ground. They have no reason not to, since it really appears like that they're not going to be re-signing him. Is Dameon Pierce droppable if I already have Chubb? The only reason why I wouldn't drop him, Polensky, is because if somebody that's still in the league that you could potentially play in the championship picks him up and uses him against you, you'd be kicking yourself the whole rest of the offseason for that. Brock Purdy is questionable with an oblique. Josh Johnson, who really has to write a book. Like Josh Johnson's played for like literally about 16, 17 teams in the NFL. He has to write a book. If there's anybody that knows stories all over the league, it's Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson, if you're watching, write a book, please. And so Brock Purdy is questionable with an oblique injury. So we have to watch that closely. Obviously, Deebo Samuel, high ankle sprain, probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks. So that's going to put him probably at, I think Deebo is droppable. I don't think he's coming back for the fantasy football championship. With Debo going down, how would you rate my depth? Godwin, Cooper, Chark, Nixon, Gibson, Jacobs. Looks good to me, Zamora. I think you're still good to go there. No, Josh Jacobs is playing no matter what. No issue there. Hayden Hurst not going to play this week. He is doubtful. So, not that anybody's really, holding their breath about Hayden Hurst, but it does hurt the offense overall for Joe Burrow. T. Higgins was in uniform today. So was Tyler Boyd. I hope both of those guys are out there. Is Pickens a hold or a drop? He's a drop, in my opinion. I'm done waiting on him. The offense is a mess. Play Cooper or Brian Robinson. I would play Brian Robinson. He's catching the football. He's running it really well over the last month, and Cooper is banged up. And DPJ, could be making a move on that number one spot, wide receiver spot. And Deshaun Watson's not playing well either. If Goddard's good to go, do you use him or DPJ getting more volume? Tough call. I still would say DPJ slightly, but I would love to play Goddard. I think Goddard has a better touchdown potential, Charles. So I would actually go Goddard because I think he has a better chance to score. Thoughts on Jamar Chase if Higgins and Tyler Boyd get ruled out? They won't be. They both practiced today, so I don't think they're going to be ruled out. Even if they were ruled out, and they pretty much did nothing last week, Jamar Chase went nuts. So no issues there. Kenny Pickett limited with a concussion issue. He has to get cleared. Mitch Trubisky just sucks. They cannot have Mitch Trubisky starting for them. At the flex, who should I start? Zay Jones, Gabe Davis, Hollywood Brown, McKinnon, or I would say Zay Jones. He's been good. He's been real good. Pick one in full PPR. Thanks, boss, for the advice. Hopefully your Giants get the win. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win another game the rest of the season. I said that 2 weeks ago, and I stand by that. They're just pathetic. Najee Harris didn't practice. Yes, I was just getting to that, Najee Harris. But you know what? It's a Veterans Day for him. No issue there in terms of whether he's going to play or not. Have Watson as QB for Watson connection. Still B-Rob. Yes, I think B-Rob's been good. Buccaneers defense a good start next week against Arizona. Should I just drop them? No, that's a good matchup. I mean, Colt McCoy, he's not going to stretch the field much. All right, Cooper or Watson, I get it, but Watson's struggling. B-Rob has been very good, and DPJ, could even outproduce Cooper on his own team. Yeah, he never practices on a Wednesday. That's true. And, he's only in his second year. Like, does he really need Wednesdays off already? Let's see. All right. Damian Harris is back in practice. We talked about no Ramondre Stevenson, no Devontae Parker. Russell Wilson, we talked about he's probably not going to get cleared in time. Cardinals signed David Blau to take Kyler Murray's spot. DJ Moore, full participant this week. You're not using DJ Moore. The Carolina Panthers are just not allowing Sam Darnold to lose the game for them. So there's going to be, 15, 18 passes tops. Who was your Super Bowl winner before the start? Mine was the Chargers at +20. Hit it right last year, calling the Rams. Before the start of the season, I thought the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it was the obvious chalk pick, but again, I really like the San Francisco 49ers. Just for Najee, yeah, I'm not worried about Najee not playing. What's up, boss? Just getting in. What's the latest on Stevenson? Not practicing. I don't think he's going to go. And whether it's Pierre Strong or the other kid, you're not using any New England back this week, not with the stakes being as high as they are. Pat Freiermuth has an injured foot. He had gotten rolled up on, but he says he's going to be able to go on Sunday. So no issues there. Lamar Jackson smash spot. Yes, if he can come back next week, he's definitely in a smash spot. If Burks can't go, I'll be down to Palmer or Driscoll at flex. Yikes. I think you almost got to go Driscoll because with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back, Palmer doesn't really get a lot. There's not a lot left over for Palmer, and that's not even mentioning Austin Eckler and Everett. Can we trust Jalen Waddle this week? Iffy. The weather's not looking great. Tua Tagovailoa is not playing well. He's the second option on the offense. We got to watch the weather closely in that one, AMC. Start Driscoll. Casey will score a lot. Driscoll's elite tight end. Listen, at tight end, he's a cheat code, just like Taysom Hill. There's no doubt about it. I am very intrigued by this. And Lovie Smith said that he's going to continue to play about half the snaps. Chiefs will get knocked out by either the Bills or the Bengals. It's possible. The Bengals especially. The Bengals have their number. Joe Burrow does not fear the Chiefs. He doesn't fear anybody. You got to love Joe Burrow. The guy's got complete ice in his veins. He's very Joe Montana-ish. In terms of just being unflappable. And it just never stops, never gives up on a game, complete competitor. Waddle or DPJ? I got to go DPJ. What teams do you think will make it into the wild card? That's hard to say. I think, if the Jets can win 2 of the next 3, I think they definitely could be a wild card. Miami obviously could be a wild card. will likely be a wild card. Baltimore win the division, I believe, in the AFC Central. Dallas or Philadelphia will be the wild card there. So Green Bay or Buffalo this week. I think I definitely like Buffalo better this week against Miami. Fields, actually, excuse me, I take that back. I like Green Bay better. Fields or Prescott? I got to go Prescott. So Fields is sick. You don't know if it's COVID. There's a lot of, winking going on when a guy is sick. I mean, we never hear about COVID anymore. So that's why I went out and picked up Andy Dalton. The Cowboys offense is just a complete handful for teams to deal with. So watch that Texan game, and Driscoll took all the red zone reps and could have had. Yes, he did. He absolutely did, Driscoll. They don't trust Davis Mills in the red zone. So Carlo made a good point there. That would be interesting. Tyreek Hill against the Chiefs. Buffalo D in the snows and no-brainer. Yes, it could be. It could be. Deep sleepers this week. Deep sleepers. I haven't looked at it that closely, Lucas. AMC. I will give you that on Friday. Elijah Moore is a deep sleeper. How about that? There's one right there. Elijah Moore is definitely a deep sleeper because Corey Davis is not going to play this week. Got T in the flex right now. Is Rachaad White a decent pivot? Yes. I've been using Rachaad White each of the last 3 weeks. I'm using him again this week. Wide receiver 2 Pickens or Elijah Moore? Definitely Elijah Moore for sure there. It looks like Mason Rudolph split first team with Mitch Trubisky. God, the Steelers, they're just terrible. Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow designated to return. It'll be interesting to see. You're not using Renfrow, but Waller you definitely could think about using, as inconsistent as he was before he got injured. Trevor Lawrence did not practice today. He's got that toe injury. T. Higgins, like I said, was in uniform. So was Tyler Boyd. Donta Foreman got a Veterans Day off. Tristan Wirfs getting ready to come back, but he won't this week for Tampa Bay, and they really need him for that offensive line. Dallas Goedert hitting the practice field tomorrow. He's going to practice tomorrow and has a chance to be cleared in time to play, which would be a really big boost for him and his fantasy owners who've been waiting for him this whole time, and the offense as a whole. Who do you like most rest of the season, Zonovan Knight or J.K. Dobbins? Oh, Zonovan Knight, definitely. J.K. Dobbins admitted today that he's not 100%. So I don't think you could fully trust him. Deep sleeper, Jordan Mason, the flex. I guess. I mean, he's going to get work. I'm not sure about that one, though. I don't know if it's going to be enough work to work as a deep flex unless it's a really deep league. Which defense do you like better, Buffalo or Green Bay? God. I mean, Green Bay's got a better matchup on paper, but the snow. Let me take a look at the snow situation. So, let's see. Buffalo. I'm going to go to the NOAA National Winter Weather Advisory, though. That's Thursday. All right, so here's the thing. Ready, guys? Winter storm watch in Buffalo for Friday night, Saturday, and Saturday night. So right now for Saturday, it says snow showers during the day. Chance of precipitation, 90%. And then Saturday night, snow showers mainly before 1 a.m. So snow showers, that doesn't sound terrible. So if it's snow showers, let me go to AccuWeather. If it's snow showers, that's doable, and I wouldn't be as concerned about using the Miami players in such an environment. So, that's not awful. All right, let me see here. Let's see what AccuWeather has to say, because they're the ones that usually, God, I hate all these damn pop-ups. Every time you try to search for anything now, there's one pop-up after the other. It's all about the advertising, right? Philly D versus Chicago or Denver versus Arizona? Denver versus Arizona. I like that one because Justin Fields could wreck any game. So there's a winter cast for Buffalo based on AccuWeather. It doesn't look like. So Saturday, 1 a.m. Let's see. It looks like only 1 to 3 inches on Saturday for Buffalo. So again, that's not terrible. We could deal with that. If you own Tua Tagovailoa, if you own Tyreek Hill, if you own Jalen Waddle, that's not a deal breaker. Would you play Zonovan over Rashad or Fournette this week? I would, just because Fournette and White are siphoning points off each other. What's up, boss? Hey, George. Good to see you. Good to see you too. With Ken Walker practicing full, am I playing him over Jamal Williams? And what do you make of T. Higgins limited practice? It's hard to trust T. Higgins now after what happened. We got to see, if you have a better option, I definitely would try to look there in terms of T. Higgins. Jamal Williams against the Jets, I can't do that. I know Ken Walker's got a rough one too, but at least he's going to get the majority of carries, whereas Williams is going to split time with DeAndre Swift. Both of them are not great options, I have to be honest with you. Who do you like more, Chubb, Pollard, or Stevenson? I'd have to say Pollard. Nick Pollard. Tony Pollard right now reminds me of Austin Eckler. That's the perfect comparison. Smallish back, extremely fast, very, very good receiver. Nose for the end zone despite a smallish frame. That's the perfect comp for Tony Pollard is Austin Eckler. Good point. Fields can break any game just with his running. I think I'd pivot off Tyler Bass this week. Yeah, it's definitely going to be windy. So if you have a better kicker, Kevin, I would do that. Whereas Kelsey will get a little to no look. See Chiefs running it up early. Yeah, listen, George, that was the exact issue I had last week with Dallas, but somehow Houston kept that game competitive throughout. So it would allow Tony Pollard to have that big game. Same thing with Dalton Schultz, who I own as well. And but it is a valid point. I mean, the Chiefs offense is so good. And they were about to do that last week in Denver before Pat Mahomes started throwing the ball all over the place to the Denver players. And then it became a competitive game. But that is a valid concern. Do playoffs start this week for some leagues? Most leagues start this week. Mine starts next week and ends week 18, which, oh, God. You listen, you cannot have your season end on week 18. That's ridiculous. So many guys are sitting out. Like, for instance, if you own Jalen Hurts, week 18, they play the Giants, and they're going to have everything clinched. Jalen Hurts is not playing that game. And if he does, he's going to play maybe one series. That's it. You can never have your season end on the last week of the season. Whoever the commissioner of that league is, Zamora, I hope it's not you. Don't take offense to it, but you cannot have that the last week of the season. I know I asked you about Mike White. Is he streamable at Prescott? I couldn't hear what you said. No, you have to go. You have to use Prescott over Mike White. Mike White's tough as nails. He's been playing well, but you play Dak Prescott every single time over him. Justin Fields against the Eagles and the Bills. Yeah, listen, Justin Fields doesn't have a good schedule right now, but I'm kind of forced to use him because Lamar is hurt. Bench Seattle's kicker. Feel like I'm playing Indy or Washington. Yeah, you could do that, George. Walker, I can have 2 duds. Yeah, that's the problem. You're absolutely right. I would do that. You don't want to get too invested in that matchup because San Francisco is so good. If it's a 4-team league, it doesn't matter. You can't end the season on the last week of the regular season because you'll see so many guys are going to be sitting that game out. Fields may get sat due to injuries. He's sick. So, I mean, if that's something he can sit down for, I mean, I hope not because I'm using him. Fields sits down, starting Field. Yeah, I don't think he's going to sit down. I think he'll be out there. Christian Watson or Rex Burkhead. Oh, Christian Watson for sure. You got to go Christian Watson 100%. And how ridiculous was that Monday game? Like, I couldn't even believe the amount of injuries in that contest. I mean, it was one right after the other. Started with Kyler, then Ramondre Stevenson, and that's a big loss. It's not getting as much publicity, but Ramondre Stevenson's loss is a big one. Now, I know the numbers have been down the last couple of weeks, but he is a phenomenal player. He's very PPR friendly, and maybe there's a little fatigue dealing with him as well. It's been a long season for somebody who hasn't ever played this far into a season, even going back to college. But that's a big loss in fantasy football terms. I have him on the team that I have a bye this week, so I'm hoping he comes back next week. Thanks for the insight, boss. Oh, you're welcome, Charles. Are we doing mock drafts in the off season? Excellent. Oh, yes, I will be. Where did you live on Long Island, Charles? And I will be doing I'll be doing live streams, mocks, you name it, all off season. So don't worry. There will be at least one weekly stream every week throughout the off season. Lots of stuff to talk about. Listen, I'm still going to evaluate players. You got free agency, you got the draft. Going to be very heavy into the draft. I'm into the receivers now in my draft guide. That book's probably going to be done in another month or so. So make sure you look for that. Better quarterback between these 3: Fields, Jackson, and Watson. Oh, Fields, Jackson, then Watson. That in that order. Are you playing Slayton over Mike Evans? No, not doing that. I'm not going to do that. Eli Apple, by the way, is just a complete asshole because he was just a complete jerk when he was here with the Giants. Very immature kid. East Islip. I'm in Shoreham, Charles, so I'm out on the East End. But yes, Boomer Esiason's hometown, East Islip. That's why I said how week 18 some stars won't start and some teams will cut. Yeah, you know, you if you play so the whole season with Jalen Hurts and then he sits down that last week, that's rough. All right, we got a $4.99 super chat from Erwin Garcia. Thank you, Erwin. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. You think Dameon Pierce or Patterson's droppable? Who would you start, Monty or Rachaad White? Should I start Okonkwo or Ingram? You got to start Ingram off of that game, 100%. I mean, that was ridiculous. And as a former Giant, that hurts watching that. He was unbelievable, and you got to go back to the well on that. That's for sure. As good as Okonkwo was, we don't know if there's staying power there. As far as Monty and Rachaad White, I'm leaning White, and also don't forget Khalil Herbert might be back this week, and that is a brutal matchup against the Eagles, where one of the biggest strengths of that team is stopping the run. So I would definitely go Rachaad White, who could at least catch the football out of the backfield. Whether I wouldn't drop Pierce, Patterson you could drop. He's just not getting featured enough in the passing game. The problem with dropping Pierce is, what if he comes back next week, somebody picks him up in your league and uses him against you? You'd be kicking yourself all off season. But Erwin, again, thank you for the super chat. You've been a big supporter of the show, and I really want you to know it means a lot. Thank you. Cowboys defense or Packers defense? A lot of defense questions today. I still would say Packers defense. Do you play Kenneth Walker over any of these guys, Etienne, White, or Godwin? No, I still would go Etienne. I know he's been so bad, but they got to figure. Oh, you're welcome, Erwin, and thank you. You got to figure that Doug Peterson is going to figure out a way to scheme Etienne open. He just has to. He's way too talented to be not getting the football in the passing game. Is anyone going to hurt Christian Kirk's value with how good? Yes. Yeah, no, Zay Jones even more is going to hurt Christian Kirk. And I called that last week. I said the Titans defend the slot really well, not the outside receiver. Kirk's not going to have as good of a game as people think. Zay Jones will. And we saw that Zay Jones was fantastic. Full PPR, Dulcich versus Arizona, Juwan Johnson versus Atlanta, or Jeff Driscoll. Listen, I'd roll the dice and go Driscoll. He played it at almost every snap in the red zone. I would do Driscoll. Would you rather have a top 5 pick in fantasy or be one of the last ones to draft this year? I drafted 13th and 14th league, and the best I've done. I want to be in the top. Let's see. I want Justin Jefferson, so I would have to probably be in the top 3. But failing that, I'd want Stephon Diggs or Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill. So then that would be the back half of the first round. So failing to get Justin Jefferson, the top 3 picks, I'd want to be in the back. Which tight end would you rather have, Schultz or Okonkwo? I'd say Schultz. There's going to be a lot of points in that game, a lot of passing. That looks, I haven't looked at the over-under, but I would venture to say that's the highest over-under on the board this week. Am I wrong? Dallas, Jacksonville. I think there's going to be a ton of passes in that game. Where do you see Calvin Ridley going in drafts next year? George, he's very talented. He is a wide receiver 1. And listen, how about that offense next season? You have Trevor Lawrence, who is set to be a QB1, slam dunk top 12 QB1 the rest of this season and next season. You have Travis Etienne, who with a full off season will have his legs back under him because I think he's tired now, who's very explosive still. And then you have Zay Jones, you have Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Evan Ingram if he resigns. He was on a 1-year deal if he resigns. That's a pretty fucking impressive offense. Like, that's crazy how good that offense is. You really want to draft Trevor Lawrence next season if you don't get one of those dual threat guys at the start of the draft. And that's what I'm going to do. Failing to get Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, I'm going to wait and take Trevor Lawrence. Hands down, 100%. If Jeff Driscoll is still a quarterback, obviously you're not going to pick him up. In Yahoo, he does have the tight end. And as far as Calvin Ridley, he's going to hurt Christian Kirk for sure. But he could be the alpha receiver in that offense, no problem. It's not out of the realm of possibility he can catch 90 passes next season. So, where is his draft price going to be? I think it's going to be in the 3rd, 4th round area. Probably the 4th, just because he hasn't played in a while. Do you play with leagues with defensive players? I used to. One league we have defensive team. One league we have no defense. So one of my 2 leagues we have no defense or kicker, and it's great. Defensive players, I stopped doing that a couple of years ago. I have a first round bye, just preparing for. Yes, me too. So first round bye in one league. I need T. Higgins and Ramondre Stevenson to get back next week. I love Justin Jefferson, but Kirk Cousins is not the answer at quarterback. He's a solid player, Kirk Cousins. I'm not going to say he's not. he's not dependable in terms of winning the big game. There's no doubt about that. Would you take Lawrence over Burrow next season? I might. Listen, I love Joe Burrow, but he doesn't run. At least Lawrence will run a little bit. That's a tough one. So, once you get past those dual threat guys, then I think Burrow is the next one on the list. And then I probably would have Trevor Lawrence right there. Burrow is the first non-running quarterback that I would consider taking. And then probably Lawrence is right after him. Goff or Watson this week? Wow. Goff against the Jets is going to be brutal. Listen, Jeff, 2 touchdown passes on the season on the road for Jared Goff, 7 interceptions. That's a tough one to swallow. Watson's been awful. God, flip the coin. I'd have to say Watson. Shut my eyes and say Watson. Would you start Schultz against Philly? Yes. Yeah, absolutely I would. He's got a good thing going with Dak Prescott. That even goes back to last season. Ranked these 6 wide receivers all time and in fantasy. Devontae Hill, Chase, Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, all time. Well, based on seniority, I'd have to go Adams, Hill, Diggs, Kupp, Jefferson, Chase. I mean, Chase is only in his second year, but he could end up being better than all those guys. Denver or Dallas? Denver. That defense is legit. That's a legit defense. They just have no offense. And the offense puts them in really bad positions. Okay. That's the big problem there with Denver. Defensively is that they just don't have the offense to sustain drives, get them off the field, and they put them in bad positions as well. Who's the most overrated, underrated out of those 6 wide receivers? I think, God, that's hard. That's a hard question to answer. I don't think any of them are overrated, honestly. Maybe Cooper Kupp slightly overrated just because we had the one awesome year. And he's been just a solid player. But I don't even want to say that. Underrated, I guess Diggs. I mean, Diggs is just every bit as good as every other receiver in football. For one wide receiver and a flex out of Waddle, Judy, Hollywood, not Hollywood now, Dobbins and White. I would say, oh man, that's a rough list. They all have their warts. You can't use Judy either because Brett Rippon's probably going to start. I tell you what, if Russell Wilson gets cleared, I go Judy. If not, I got to go Waddle because the weather doesn't look like it's going to be horrible. And as far as Dobbins and White, I got to go White. Dobbins, he still was running with a little bit of a limp. Gus Edwards still going to get carries. I'm not big on him going forward. Got to put St. Brown in there. Yeah, St. Brown is every bit a wide receiver one for sure. Need running back help, please. Pick 2. Zeke, Barkley, K9, Dobbins, PPR, first round playoffs. Definitely Zeke because he's scoring touchdowns every week, and that is going to be a high scoring game, Thomas. So definitely Zeke. And I would say Barkley. He practiced in full today. He has a history of doing really well against the Commanders. I'm not going Kenneth Walker against San Francisco. That is a brutal matchup. And Dobbins, he doesn't catch the football. I don't think he's very touchdown dependent. He's very 100-yard dependent. So at least Barkley can catch the ball. I'd go with those first 2 guys. Cooper Kupp overrated. Totally agree. He hasn't been great since he had the season. Yes. But, I think any other quarterback, the numbers wouldn't have been anywhere near what he did with Stafford. Any strategies for your round 2 matchup? Not yet. I'm taking it 1 week at a time. I haven't really looked too far ahead. I'm just trying to concentrate on this week. Drop Jared Cook for Elijah Moore. Yeah, there's no James Cook. There's no reason. James Cook came right back to earth with a thud. I know it was a tough matchup, but we certainly overrated his week 13 performance. It didn't carry over to week 14. You're welcome, Thomas. No problem. So, but anyway, as far as the rest of this week is concerned, that's the other thing. So I'm not going to do a fantasy cast tomorrow. Parent duty calls. One of my kids has a Christmas concert tomorrow. So, parental duty calls. So, that takes precedence, obviously. So I will not be doing the live, fantasy stream during the first half of the 49ers, Seahawks game tomorrow. Maybe I'll drop in when I get home, like 9 o'clock-ish, 9:15-ish, maybe I'll drop in. So that's why you have to have the notification button hit so you know if I drop in, okay? Kupp can play every wide receiver position at a high level. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's an older receiver. He's had some injury histories as well. So I'm not too sure about him. All right, we got a $9.99 super chat. Bobbin Accounting. Thank you, Bobbin. I really appreciate that. That's very generous. Non-PPR, one running back play, one flex. All right, let's see what we got here. And drop one of the following. Okay, so this is a loaded question here. So Dobbins, McKinnon, Evans, White, Akers, Mason, and Madison. All right. So one running back. So out of Dobbins, McKinnon, Evans, and White, I go Rachaad White because he's been double digits every week. He's getting passes out of the backfield. McKinnon, there's almost no way he's going to have that kind of a game again. It's not going to be a competitive game. They're going to run Isaiah Pacheco a lot. And, part of the reason why he had so many points last week is because the Broncos got back into it because Mahomes was sloppy with the football. So I would go with Rachaad White. And as far as a flex, I'm not using Akers, Mason, or Madison. As far as the flex, I think I would go Dobbins. He looked really explosive. It's non-PPR. That's the key. So if it's non-PPR, if it was PPR, I'd say McKinnon, Bobbin. But I'm going to go Rachaad White in the running back, and I'm going to go McKinnon in the flex. So again, thank you for that super chat. That's very, very generous, $9.99. That's a very generous super chat. And it does help with the show, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. My opponent has Hill and Jefferson. I have Waddle and Chase. Oh, man, damn, that sucks. I mean, Hill and Jefferson, that's brutal. Waddle, you got the fourth best receiver in that group. But Chase, I mean, you're okay there. Appreciate your feedback. Yeah, no problem, Bryce. No issues there. That's what I'm here for. All right, Darry Welsh, Thielen or Curtis Samuel? Oh, Thielen, easy. Definitely Thielen. Curtis Samuel really hasn't been a thing since the first, couple of weeks of the season. What about the drop? I'm so sorry. Let me look again. The drop. That's tougher. I would say Madison because he's, unless something happens to Dalvin Cook. And listen, same thing with Christian McCaffrey. Cook has managed to stay healthy this season. So I'm going to drop Alexander Madison. White's getting work. I think that it's hard to trust Mike Evans right now. They're not able to throw the ball deep. Jordan Mason, you want to have if McCaffrey gets hurt. I know that's the same reason with Madison, but I'd rather have Mason than Madison because at least Mason right now is getting decent amount of work. So I would drop Madison. Is Tyreek Hill only good because of his speed? No, he's a great route runner. Absolutely great route runner, and he's tough. I mean, do you ever see the guy with his shirt off during practice? He's got muscles popping out everywhere. Christian Kirk or Elijah Moore this week. Kirk's been super consistent. Yeah. I got to still go Kirk, though, Koa. The reason why is that is a nuclear game. Last week, the nuclear game was Detroit, Minnesota. This week, the nuclear game is Dallas, Jacksonville. All hands on deck. You play everybody on Dallas. You play everybody on Jacksonville. I guarantee you it's the highest over-under of the week without looking. I would play Kirk. Definitely. Thomas Dodson. I'm starting Goddard. Is he healthy over Njoku? I have A.J. Brown. Njoku was good last week, but he's a little touchdown dependent. It's not the worst idea in the world to start Goddard. So I think you're fine there. Bo Edwards, hope you're all good. Oh, thank you, Bo. I hope you're good as well. Who do you think is a lock and flex this play? Amari Cooper, Evans, or Thielen? Need as many points as I can playing our league's number one. Appreciate you, good sir. Oh, thank you. I wouldn't go Thielen. It's between Evans and Cooper. I don't think Cooper is 100%. So I think I would go. Let me just see something here. I think I might go Evans. I just want to double check. They're playing Cincinnati. They're gonna have to throw the ball a lot. So I'm gonna say Evans. I'm gonna go Evans on that one. And you're welcome, Bobbin. And thank you again for that super chat. His backs are James Cook and Dobbins. My backs are Aaron Jones and Rachaad White. And I have Knight as my flex. Yeah, you're good. Knight as a flex is really good. Zonovan Knight, you talk about a league winner running back. That could be him. Hill's a decent cheat code. Yes. ETN, Scott, ETN, it's been rough sledding, but I'm hoping this week against Dallas, they need him. They need everybody to keep up with this Dallas offense. All right, we got a $4.99 super chat from Joe Castles. Thank you, Joe. Again, I appreciate you always supporting the show. Very nice. How do you feel about Strong this week? Also, McKinnon a start. I'm not using New England players, Joe. I'm just not. I'm done with this team. They split work with him and the Harris kid. Damian Harris himself is coming back this week, so I'm not using Strong. I'm not using him. I know he's a 4th-round pick. He's a small school kid. Damian Harris will be the bell cow. There's not going to be enough left over for him to have value. And as far as McKinnon, I think that game against the Texans could get out of hand quickly, but I thought the same thing last week against Dallas, and it was competitive. So as a flex, off a 30-plus fantasy point game, you could certainly use McKinnon, definitely. So, and Joe, again, thank you for the super chat. You're always very generous. Thank you. Any update on Texans wideouts? Yes. Brandon Cooks is not playing. Nico Collins, about 50-50 to go. So, Chris Moore was very good last week. You can look to him again in deeper leagues. T-Law or Fields. Oh, Trevor Lawrence, 100%. And I love Justin Fields, but that's a tough matchup against Philadelphia. So, Joe, you definitely go Trevor Lawrence. And, guys, trust me on this. He is a can't-miss quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. He is every bit as good as Andrew Luck was coming out of college. He just got delayed because of Urban Meyer. That's it. All right, JL, how are you? Just wanted to thank you for the solid advice, for actually engaging with your follows. Hey, JL, that's what I tried to do from the beginning. Any question that was asked, out of all the questions that were asked, I probably answered 90% of them since I started this over the summer. And I pride myself on that, and that's not going to change. So, I know the frustration of not being answered when you ask questions of people, fantasy experts on Twitter. I will always answer questions. So no issues there. And I appreciate the kind words. This season completely sucked for me. I might be done with fantasy though. No, don't be done. You might be done now, but next season you're going to get the itch, and you can't be done because then, you wouldn't be on here chatting with us. So, let the anger and the frustration wear off. I've been there. I say it every year too. Sometimes I'm done with this, but you'll be dragged back in when the summer comes. Need a flex in PPR. Dylan, Singletary, Fournette, Zay Jones, 100%. They are throwing the ball 50 times each in this game. How would you rate DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown? Hopkins over Brown because Colt McCoy likes to throw to Hopkins. He doesn't like to go throw to Brown. I don't know if you saw my Hollywood Brown crisis point video. I am not positive on Hollywood Brown the rest of the season. But if I do come back as next season starting strategy, just load up on top. Yes, 100%, and get that dual threat quarterback. Think about how many running backs we picked up during the season that have contributed. Zonovan Knight is the perfect example. Every year, league-winning running backs are picked up off waivers in the middle of the season. Every year, it's very rare to get a wide receiver off waivers that's a league winner. Facts. Who's your top streamer at QB this week? Top streamer. Andy Dalton over against the Falcons. I picked up Andy Dalton, Joe, because I'm afraid with Fields being sick and Lamar is injured, I need a third quarterback. Andy Dalton against the Falcons is a really good matchup. NFC Championship prediction. God, I love the 49ers. I really do. I'm still saying 49ers Eagles. Dallas always finds a way to lose. And I just love that 49ers. The 49ers are so strong everywhere but quarterback. But Brock Purdy played well last week, so it's possible. What do you think T-Law will rank next year? Highest third round? No. I think JL, he'll fall to the 6th, 7th round. Yes. And he's going to be a swell value. So if you choose to wait on drafting your quarterback, that's the guy you take. He's not going to be in the top 3, 4 rounds because he's not a runner. And his hot streak is coming so late in the season that those who have already given up are not totally keen on how good he's been. So he'll slip a little bit. Would you rather lose in a first round of the playoffs or in a championship game? Championship game, because there's always a consolation prize, right? I know in my leagues, there's money for second place. So I'd rather get to second place, 100%. That means you beat everybody else except one person. It is frustrating, though, losing in the finals. I've always said this. You need a lot of luck, too, to win in fantasy football. You play fantasy baseball, there's so many games that the luck factor is mitigated by the end of the year. But in football, only, it's 18 games, 17 in fantasy. The luck plays a big factor in it. Vikings, Eagles. I hate the Vikings. I just cannot depend on Kirk Cousins. Is there any chance, the Eagles lose home field? No. No, they're not going to lose home field. That team is scary, and I hate to say that. It makes me sick as a Giants fan how good the Eagles are. It really does. But I can't knock them. I definitely can't knock them. They are legit. They're the real deal. You know, they're going to be impossible. At least in the NFC. I think the Bengals can certainly give them a game. I think the Bills can give them a game. I think the Chiefs could give them a game. I think the AFC is much more difficult to get through than the NFC, for sure. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. Geno Smith or Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton. I don't like that matchup for Geno Smith. When Geno Smith has to throw the ball a lot, interceptions happen. Eagles in the Super Bowl, you do see someone. I see them in the Super Bowl. All right. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end the stream now. Going to have to spend some family time with the kids before they go to bed. So I will be back on tomorrow in the afternoon, probably around 5, before I have to go to the Christmas concert. And then during the game when I get home, I might pop in again. So hit that notification button. So again, thank you to all the super chats. I really appreciate that. Very generous. Means a lot. And we will all talk tomorrow. Have a good night. You're welcome, Death Lord. Have a great night, everybody. And we will chat soon.